Hey guys. So, if you're at all following the low man or solo community in Destiny 2, you may have noticed that there have been a lot more solo witness clears this season than normal. And that is because we got two new weapons that are really good for this encounter. That being the Uncivil Discourse hand cannon, the new special one, and the refurbished A499 heavy sniper, the only one right now. And as well as that, the Sniper's Meditation artifact perk. So these three things have basically made soloing the Witness easier than ever. So I thought I'd get a little guide together and show you what I did to get my clear and what you can do to make it a bit easier. I'll give you loadouts and then also some tips and tricks to make the fight a lot easier in case you want to go for that raid report tag. So first of all, we're going to be on Hunter for this challenge. Last season you could do this on Warlock. It might still be possible this season. I kind of doubt it, but I haven't seen any clears. I haven't tried it myself, so I don't actually know. Either way, Hunter is just going to be a lot easier, so I recommend just running Hunter to save yourself the pain. For your subclass, you're going to want to be on Prismatic with Golden Gun, and your aspects are going to be Ascension and Threaded Spectre. These are really just for survivability, not much to them otherwise. For your abilities, you're going to want to run Acrobat's Dodge for the Radiant. Whatever jump you want, I like triple jump. Probably don't run Blink for this, but I guess you can if you want, if you're desperate to run Blink. Snare Bomb for the Weaken, and Magnetic Grenade, also for the Weaken, from Facet of Dominance. This is one of the fragments you basically need to have on. This Weaken is super important for your Golden Gun damage. So run Facet of Dominance. Facet of Dawn is also super needed for your Snare Bomb to give you Radiant. So you extend the Radiant from your dodge, which is more damage, which we need lots of, so good. And then the last one you need is Facet of Courage. Like, this will increase the damage of your Marksman Golden Gun. And again, we need lots of damage. So these three fragments, I would say, are pretty much locked in. You basically have to have them. The other two, on the other hand, you can maybe swap out. Facet of Protection, I would recommend having, just because the extra protection can be nice. Taking less damage is helpful at times, especially when you're getting swarmed by ads, especially Screebs. Facet of Command you can swap out with whatever you want. It's not super necessary. I run it just because sometimes you can get an extra reload of your heavy sniper and get another shot in, but it's not that substantial, so you can swap it out. Facet of Grace isn't bad, because you need to build your Transcendence fairly quickly between phases. Yeah, whatever else you really want. You could even run, like, Facet of Solitude. It's not that big of a deal. Anyways, moving on to the weapons. In your kinetic slot, you're going to want to be on an SMG that has attrition orbs. We want lots of orbs because we need to boost our Still Hunt's Cade Retribution stacks, and getting orbs does that. So I use Multimach with attrition orbs and kinetic tremors for the extra damage. An alternative for that would be the M17 Fast Talker. This one's also very easy to farm, but also I think Banshee has a Multimach that you can just get, so could do that as well. This thing is also stasis and a heat weapon, so it does more damage. It's really up to you, though. It's personal preference. Two other weapons you'll need for the running loadout are a precision frame bow that has no damage perk. You can just pull the Hollis 4 from collections. It may be blue, but it does the job perfectly fine. Yeah, if you're really worried about it being blue, don't. But also you can craft the Raconteur bow, which I think is from Season of the Wish, I want to say. And that works fine as well, but pulling Hollis works as well. And then you also need something to shoot the nodes when the Witness tests you. I use Vulpecula just because it shoots fairly fast and it has explosive payload, so if you're slightly off on your shot, it still destroys the node. You can probably use basically any other hand cannon or even like scout rifles, like a hung jury works as well, but I use that. For your energy weapon, you're going to want to be on Still Hunt. And then for your heavy weapon, you're going to be on the refurbished A499 the entire time, so just don't take this thing off, basically. On this thing, you're going to want Aggregate Charge. This is the only perk that actually matters, because it, again, boosts your damage, which we need lots of. Third column perk doesn't matter, really. I run Moving Target because we're moving around quite a bit during damage, so it can be useful there. Some people like Snapshot Sights. It doesn't matter that much, though. The other thing you want is as high reload speed as possible on this weapon. So Flared Magwell is good for that. If you have a reload speed masterwork, that's also good. And then putting on a tactical mod or a reload mod can also be helpful for boosting the reload speed, because we're going to be reloading and shooting this thing like in quick succession. Moving on to the armor, I'll start off with the head armor mods. On your head, you're going to want to be on a kinetic siphon, again to make more orbs for both your Cade's Retribution and also special finishers. And then I like to run one of each ammo finder, so one special, one heavy, because we're going to need lots of ammo as well. I should mention that you also want as high weapons as possible on this build. I have not farmed armor on my hunters, so I only have 120, but if you can get higher than that, that would be ideal. Get better stats than mine, for sure. On your arms, there aren't really any good mods for this encounter because we're not really using our abilities at all. So I just run 2 kinetic loaders. You can swap those out with whatever feels better. It's up to you. On your chest piece, I like to run 2 solar resists. Because the weavers do solar damage, and so do the beams of the wall arms, and as well as the bees from the circle arms. If you want, you can swap one of these out for like a void resist if the chieftains are really annoying you, or even like a strand resist if the subjugator is really being annoying. But I like 2 solar resists. And as well as a charged up. I would really recommend having a charged up. I'll mention why in a second here when I get to the class item. Your boots are going to be Radiant Dance Machines. This is for maximum Ascension uptime. Because having 3 dodges and 3 like clones can be very helpful and save you in some sticky situations. The mods you want are Stacks on Stacks to make as many special finis as possible, and then 1 kinetic scavenger for your heavy sniper, and 1 solar scavenger for your still hunt. Lastly, your last item is going to want to have a time dilation, a special fini, and strangely enough, a class font. So I guess you could run something on your arms as well. I like running a class font just because there's nothing else that really is super helpful here. Maybe another Reaper. Basically, last patch, Bungie made a change where if, say, you're only running Special Finisher, when you pick up orbs, they'll be held. They won't be counting down. They won't have a timer on them or anything. They'll just be held there for when you want to use your Special Finisher. So then if you swap to a loadout that has a font on it or a surge on it, normally, your armor charge that you had stored from the special finisher would start counting down. Last patch, they decided to make it so that when you swapped loadouts, those armor charges would just go away. So you basically have to run either a font or a surge before damage, because otherwise you have to pick up 3-4 orbs before damage, which can be a major pain in the butt. So that's the running loadout. Let's move on to the first damage loadout. So this one will be on Celestial Nighthawk. This will be the one where you pop your Still Hunt Goldie as well as your normal Goldie. In your primary slot, you're going to want to have a weapon with Slice. It doesn't matter what weapon. The slice is to sever so that our Facet of Courage procs and our Golden Gun does a bit more damage. So I use Imminence because I already had it crafted, and it has Slice, easy to craft. You can also use something like Mint Retrograde. I know a lot of people use that, but then you need to pick up one extra special ammo brick before damage, which, I don't know, I wasn't a huge fan of. So I just decided to stick with a primary weapon. You could also use All or Nothing, which is maybe a bit easier to farm right now. I don't have Slice on this one, but it does get Slice in the third column. So this works too if you want to use that as an alternative. Then you're going to still want to be on Still Hunt and the Heavy Sniper. For your helmet, which is going to be Celestial Nighthawk, you're going to want at least 2 super fonts. If you want to get to 200 super for this build, because this is the only build you're using your super on. So get to 200 super. I can only get to 180 with fonts because, again, my stats are bad and I don't have good armor. But yeah, 2 super fonts and a Radiant Light for maximum armor charge uptime. Then on the arms, again, arm mods are just kind of whatever for this encounter. I run a momentum transfer and an impact induction. I don't think they've ever actually done anything for me, so do with that what you will. And a kinetic loader, I don't know why I'm running this, but yeah. On your chest armor, I keep the same 2 solar resists and charged up, just because the hand beams are solar damage, and if you're standing in one for maybe a little longer than normal, this can sometimes save you. But yeah. On your boots, 3 solar surges, pretty straightforward for your Still Hunt. And then finally on your cloak, you're going to want at least 2 time dilations. I run 2 because I can't get to high enough super anyways. And 2 is enough for the damage phase. And then your main damage loadout, which is going to be Lucky Pants with Uncivil Discourse, as well as Crimson, which you may think seems a bit strange, and I agree. Basically, what Crimson does is all you're using Crimson for is to proc your Lucky Pants. This is a 3-burst hand cannon, so if you shoot it twice, you're stacking up Lucky Pants 6 times already, which makes Uncivil Discourse already be at that amount of stacks, so it does more damage right off the bat. So that's really all Crimson is for. You can also use Warden's Law if you don't have Crimson, but I think everyone should have Crimson. And moving on to your energy, which of course is the Uncivil Discourse. Now the only thing you want on this is Precision Instrument because it increases damage. Third column perk doesn't matter at all. Honestly, none of the perks are really that great. I guess Air Trigger maybe. Maybe Keep Away. Keep Away is not bad. And you want a heat generated weapon mod on because it'll reload while it's stowed basically. And then again, stay on the Heavy Sniper. For your armor, again, you're going to want to have as high weapons as possible. Once again, I'm running Gauss arms and I think a vest from Grasp of Avarice, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So, not the best stats, but I still cleared multiple times, so it is possible. As high weapons as possible. Ideally 200. On your helmet, I like to run 1 in-flight compensator just because we're jumping to avoid the witness's slam attack, which can sometimes help with the airborne effectiveness. And then a kinetic targeting mod just for the Heavy Sniper. For your arms, this time mods are actually useful. You need at least 1 kinetic loader, I would say. Well, you don't need it, I guess, but it's very useful because we're going to be reloading and shooting this thing as many times as possible, so I run 2 kinetic loaders there. Chest armor, same thing, 2 solar resists, 1 charged up. And, of course, Lucky Pants, which are going to have 2 arc weapon surges and 1 kinetic surge. 2 of them for the Uncivil Discourse, and 1 for the Heavy Sniper. Then lastly, on the cloak, you're going to want, again, 2 time dilations, and then this perk doesn't really matter. Alright, so those are the loadouts. Now let's get into the encounter. I just want to preface this by saying that this is a guide for people who know how to do the encounter normally already, and it'll just be like tips and tricks that I've found from my time running this. I've cleared 3 times now in preparation for this video, so yeah, hopefully it helps you out. Let's get into the encounter. Alright, so this is a clear I did a couple days ago, as a sort of example clear. Now, before I start the video, I just want to say I do get an extended phase in this clear. You do not need an extended phase to clear, though. It just helps out. So if you get one, that's pretty cool. Alright, let's start it off. So while you're running, you really want to just focus on the triangle hand. You'll see I shoot it here. You immediately grab that buff, and then you can instantly get a glyph breaker. There, I've got a glyph breaker. So now I'm going to swap to the bow. And what I'm doing here is I'm preparing the cores, preparing the glyphs. You'll see I do 210 damage per shot to each glyph. So this is basically preparing them so that when you swap back to your SMG, you'll be able to one-shot each of these 5 glyphs. And if you can one-shot, then you can do what's called a double break, where you quickly shoot one and then quickly shoot the other in like very fast, and you end up breaking 2 of them. Now, I would like to say, if you are Radiant, you will break the cores, so make sure you're not Radiant when you shoot your bow. And if you have too high a weapon stat, then you will also break the cores. So to counteract that, you can always just put on the Unstoppable Bow mod, and you'll just have to ADS for a second, and then that will like lower your damage to the glyphs. So the cores are prepped now, and then there's the double break. I'll just go back a bit so you can see that again. It's pretty fast. So you want to double break just like that. Shoot one, shoot the other. Other things for this encounter, like I said, you really just want to focus down the triangle hand. Ideally, you kill the subjugator as soon as possible, but always try to at least check the next triangle hand after you've broken the glyphs. So here I'm like, may as well try out the hex hand, and there's well, I tried the double break, but I didn't get it. All right, so now we have a test. So I swapped to Vulpecula. It's just easier that way, because SMGs aren't great at a range. And I'll just skip ahead a bit. Alright. I think this is the last glyph breaker. Yeah. So, going into damage, make sure you have full armor charge, make sure your ammo is full. You're going to swap to your first damage loadout before you step on the platform. At least that's what I do. I guess you could do it on the platform if you want. Yeah. I like to shoot that with Still Hunt. You can insta-pop your Still Hunt, and then make sure you have your slice weapon out when you throw your grenade and then dodge. Because that, when I shoot it there, I proc slice on him. So let's watch this again. So I have my SMG out, grenade, dodge, proc slice, and instantly shoot my Still Hunt Goldie, and then instantly pop and shoot my normal Goldie. making sure that I'm not in his attack. So then, let me go back here to my Goldie. Throw your smoke bomb. And then I swap to Lucky Pants. Again, shoot the Crimson 2 times. Then you can shoot your Uncivil Discourse until it runs out of heat. Until you hear that beep. Once you finish your Uncivil Discourse, you want to instantly pop Transcendence and throw a smoke and then a nade at his shoulder, ideally. I'm not sure why, actually. I think it's something to do with the shatter not affecting him if you throw it at his chest. Also, if you throw grenade then smoke, it'll take a lot longer for them to come out, so always throw your smoke first and then your grenade. And then you just want to start pumping out your heavy sniper. For the heavy sniper, you have to like cancel the reload. You can do this in 2 ways. I tend to do sprint canceling, so I'll shoot, start to reload, and actually the animation for the reload takes a second, so let's go back. So you'll see in a second here, the animation won't actually finish, but the bullet will already be reloaded. So when that happens, that's when you want to either sprint or just hip fire. I sprint because I find hip firing somewhat inconsistent, even though his crit is so big. But yeah. So you cancel that 6 times is what I do. Then throw, okay, go back a second. And 6. So then I throw a smoke bomb and a nade, and then swap to Crimson. You do 2 shots, and then start wailing with your Uncivil Discourse. One thing to note that I've seen quite a bit about Uncivil Discourse, you need to make sure you're aiming down sights, otherwise you will do like, I think less than half the damage you're actually doing if you were aiming down sights. So if you hip fire, you do like half the damage, so you need to make sure you ADS. That's something I've seen quite a bit. And then again, you just throw your smoke and your nade and start shooting your heavy sniper. So yeah, like I said, this is about where he would start going into his animation to end the phase, but I get an extended phase here, so he does his attack one more time, which means I can get off quite a bit more heavy ammo. You can see like it chunks his health bar. Again, you do not need an extended phase to clear this encounter. So that's 1 damage phase. I would say this is very good damage, at least for me, for what my stats. This is very good damage. Obviously, I did have that extended phase, but still. So yeah, after the damage phase is over, you just want to start picking up ammo, and again, just focus that triangle hand. And we'll go forward a bit. So I have Glyph Breaker now. This is going to be pretty much the same, except I like to charge my Still Hunt right after I do this, normally. Oh yeah, I don't have a dodge here, so I don't do it. I'll show you in the 3rd phase, but I generally like to charge up my Still Hunt by getting precision hits on the Subjugator. So we're just going to skip ahead a bit, because running is pretty simple. It really is just you need to go after the triangle hand as much as possible and cleanse yourself if you get 3 resonances. I'm getting special finis. I think I'm about to go into 2nd damage phase. So yeah, again, for the damage phase, pop your Cades, nade, dodge, slice, double Goldie. I don't think I actually get slice proc there, but oh well. And then just wail on him. And yeah, make sure you dodge his attacks. I forgot to mention that. That's kind of important, actually. You can jump while you're ADS'd. If you jump at, like, the perfect timing, you can just, like, normal jump, and you don't need to double jump or anything. And you should always be able to get out 3 mags of your Uncivil Discourse. One thing that I like about Crimson as well is that it heals you, so you can kill a couple things after damage, and then you're just full health. Alright, I'll skip ahead a little bit to here. So this is prepping cores again. I'm waiting for my Radiant to run out. Make sure you don't get resonance. So this is what I do. I sit on top of my my strand thing, my Spectre, and then I just like to shoot. I like to get at least 3 stacks normally. If you don't, it's not a huge deal, but it's nice. Again, double breaks, super nice to have. Deal with Screeps when you can. I should also say you can triple break, but it's a lot less consistent. And I think it's easier if you have worse connection. So if you have worse internet, it might be a little bit easier. But you don't need to triple break or anything. Honestly, you don't even need to double break. You can just shoot 1 at a time if you want. It does make it like a little bit harder because you have less time, but making special. Alright, just 1 more, and then we'll get into Final Stand. So I found a way to make Final Stand pretty consistent. It does somewhat depend on how much damage you do in your first 2 phases. So right now I'm like, this Final Stand should be super easy. Here I'm just swapping to Vulpecula just to get Darkness Energy, Darkness Transcendence. Because that is also needed. So this last phase is going to be slightly different because we're going to be keeping our super as well as our Transcendence, saving them for final. And you're going to stay on your Still Hunt and Celestial Nighthawk loadout. I like to kill these guys before damage. There's also the strat where you kill them slightly after you start damage so they don't respawn, or at least this close guy. Alright, let's get into the last damage phase. So this is the same as usual. Start it with Still Hunt and proc your Cade's Retribution. Throw your nade and dodge. Slice him, sure, why not? Then here, you don't want to pop your super, you want to save your super. I like to just shoot Heavy Sniper, especially if he's this close to being at Final Stand. Sometimes you need to shoot 6 more Still Hunt shots and proc your Still Hunt Goldie again. If that happens, that's alright. And then for Final Stand, pop your Cades, pop your Transcendence instantly. I like to throw Smoke Nade, shoot Still Hunt, instantly pop Goldie, bam, swap to your Lucky Pants, and then shoot that. And then, for some reason this time I had to shoot a bit more, but I shot 4 Heavy Sniper. So I find that Final Stand is the trickiest part for people, so let me just go over it again. There. So you want to pop your Still Hunt Goldie and your Transcendence before the Final Stand damage starts. Weaken him, and use your dodge to get Radiant. as soon as you see his chest, you can shoot that Goldie and pop your other Goldie, shoot that, swap to your Lucky Pants. Again, shoot 2 Crimson shots, and then wail on him with your Uncivil Discourse. 12 shots is what it takes for me. If you have a shiny one, it'll take slightly more. Then you shoot your Heavy Sniper a bit, and there you go. Your solo witness clear. So, yeah, this was my sort of first attempt at this. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment. I'll try to get to as many of them as possible. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. Good luck on your clears. Bye.